The $1 million question for the 2023 trade deadline for the Seattle Mariners is, should they trade outfielder Teoscar Hernandez? There's just a handful of games left until the trade deadline on August 1st. The Mariners are going to be taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks and then one game versus the Red Sox before the deadline actually comes to pass. Unfortunately for the Mariners, they have not yet found a way to distance themselves from the other teams in the race for the wild card hunt. And while they are going to be playing some of the teams in front of them, it might not be worth it to wait and see and then try to hold on to Teoscar Hernandez until the offseason. There's a lot that goes into trading Teoscar Hernandez and whether or not the Mariners should or shouldn't. But first, let's take a look at the standings and what the Mariners have coming up to see if they can maybe put themselves in better contention. At the time of recording this video, the Mariners are 51-50. They're 4.5 games back of a wild card spot with Toronto. They are playing the Twins also at the time of recording this, and they're up 8-5. Fingers crossed that holds. We'll just call the Mariners 52-50. In front of the Mariners is, well, every single team in the American League East, unfortunately, and then two teams in the West, including the Angels and the Houston Astros. The Mariners have 4 games coming up against the Los Angeles Angels, and they could be without Shohei Ohtani if they do decide to trade him at the deadline. I think they should, but that's not up to me. They also have 3 games versus Boston at home as well. And the Yankees have been a very interesting team thus far. It sounds like they're not going to be buying at the deadline. They're probably going to stand pat. So the Yankees are a team the Mariners could catch if they do believe that they could make their way up the standings. And when you look at the month of August for the Seattle Mariners, it is the easiest month of the year by far. Again, the Mariners start the month of August versus the Boston Red Sox. 2 games there, of course, 1 game at the end of July. Then they fly to Anaheim and face the Angels for 4 games. But in the month of August, you get to face the Kansas City Royals 7 times, one of the worst teams in all of baseball. You also get to face the Athletics another 3 times. The Mariners could very easily go 10-0 in that span. Very hard to sweep in baseball, so who knows, but it's possible. The White Sox have also been quite bad, and the Astros have been very hit or miss. The Mariners have honestly taken them to the cleaners thus far in 2023. August is a very important month for the Mariners, and if they were to trade Teoscar Hernandez, then obviously the team is worse because of it. Don't get me wrong, Teo has had his warts thus far this year, but he's still been a great middle of the order bat for the Mariners. As of the time of recording this now, at this point, it's now 8-7 Mariners over the Twins in the 6th inning. The problem with trading Teoscar Hernandez is you are not going to get back what you gave up for him. The Mariners gave up Eric Swanson and Adam Macko for Teoscar Hernandez. Now, obviously, with just a few months left of the season, he's worth less, and he's been worse. I don't know what you could get back in return for Teoscar Hernandez. Probably a couple of prospects. Probably a couple of guys who maybe have a chance at making the big leagues, but you're not going to get impact pieces back for Teo. Looking at his savant numbers, of course, you know what you're getting out of Teoscar Hernandez. He's going to hit the ball really hard, but he's going to strike out a lot. So far in 2023, Teo is running one of the worst strikeout percentages of his career at 31.5%. Again, that's good for the 7th percentile in all of baseball. Teams that could use Teoscar Hernandez include the Phillies, the Yankees. Honestly, a lot of guys could use a power-hitting outfielder. But the question is, do the Mariners trade him or do they keep him, slap a draft pick compensation on him with, of course, the qualifying offer, and then if he gets picked up, you get a compensatory draft pick? Or do you do that but then try to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez this offseason? It's been said that Teoscar Hernandez's leadership in the clubhouse is similar to that of Nelson Cruz, which is friggin' incredible. Nelly was very, very respected when he was with the Mariners and always deemed a really great clubhouse fit. And Teo seems like he could very well be the similar guy to that, especially from what we've heard from different players around the clubhouse, as well as even Scott Service himself. The interesting part is that Teoscar Hernandez, if you were to give him the qualifying offer, may actually accept it. The qualifying offer should be right around like $20 million this year. It's kind of been hovering around that the last few years. A 1-year, $20 million deal for Teoscar Hernandez to try to rebuild his value next year, honestly, he might take that. Because we all know what Teoscar Hernandez is capable of, but in my opinion, he has not been worth over $20 million this year. Mariners paid him $14 million in 2023. Of course, he wanted $16 million in his arbitration case. He got $14 million. $20 million would be a nice $6 million jump from where he's at right now. And then he could try to hit the open market when he's 31 and maybe be able to secure himself a better deal. However, the hard part is that there's really not a whole lot on the free agent market this offseason. In terms of bats on the free agent market, it goes Shohei Ohtani and then Teoscar Hernandez. So he might be able to play onto a weak market where teams might be willing to pay a little bit extra dollars and maybe even an extra year or two for a bat because there's just not that guy out there this offseason. In my opinion, the Mariners should not trade Teoscar Hernandez. I would rather try to go for it in 2023 and hold on to him and slap a qualifying offer on him and maybe get the compensatory draft pick, or maybe he accepts it and you have Teoscar Hernandez again next year. What you would get for Teoscar Hernandez at the trade deadline this year is not worth trading him, in my opinion, especially when you still have a chance, albeit a slim one, at making the wild card in 2023. MLB Trade Rumors did a poll on if the Mariners should trade Teoscar Hernandez. Over 6,000 people voted. Let's take a look at what they said. The overwhelming majority say that the Mariners should trade Teoscar Hernandez. 67.5%, about 4,000 votes, said yes, the Mariners should trade Teoscar Hernandez. And we know that the Mariners are going to be in the camp of either buying and selling or just kind of standing pat this trade deadline. And as we get closer, the Mariners are not distancing themselves from the teams around them. It's making it that much harder to not trade off some of these guys that are going to be free agents, because honestly, you might not have a chance this year. With how easy the month of August is for the Mariners, I think holding on to Teoscar Hernandez would be the right move. But they should still seriously think about trading him and a bunch of other guys at this trade deadline. Joe and I made our full trade deadline plan for 2023 in this video on the screen now. I want you to check that one out. Appreciate you guys watching this one. Go Mariners.